So it's really evolved dramatically over the last 20 years. So really the first dedicated fact-checking sites that are sort of the origins of what is now this really big global movement that has more than 400 organizations around the world. The origins are in the mid-2000s. One of the first sites was factcheck.org in the United States. There was also PolitiFact, and those were models for a lot of fact checkers around the world that launched, between sort of 2008, all the way through 2016. And that initial wave of fact checkers really focused on checking political discourse, on checking the things that politicians say, because that's many times what we consider most relevant for democracy, right? And a lot of fact checkers really focused their efforts on elections. So that was really the initial focus. And then after 2016, we saw this real rising concern around disinformation, especially on social media. And a lot of times that has political implications, but it comes from some anonymous source, or it's some bizarre narrative, a conspiracy theory, a hoax, etc. So it's a really different kind of disinformation. Some of the methods that fact checkers choose are different. But that opportunity to work with these really rich technology companies really grew the fact-checking movement around the world. So now the majority of fact checkers spend most of their effort on fighting that online disinformation. And arguably, at least some of them think that they need to turn their attention back a bit to sort of political discourse, conventional political discourse, political debates, and so on. We've also seen with that move the emergence of a lot more commercially oriented fact-checking companies. So they don't come out of the public sector or out of journalism, but they're like for-profit endeavors that see an opportunity to make some money. And if they're doing good work, that's fine. But in some cases, they're not really checking very important claims. They're just trying to sort of meet their quota every month, with the platform companies. So it's a complicated landscape. Well, there are so many challenges. One of the really immediate challenges is that as fact-checking has become more prominent, more visible, especially after 2016, many elites around the world, universities, governments, public institutions became really concerned about disinformation. And so that really put a new spotlight on the fact checkers. They got a lot more funding, a lot more support for their work. At the same time, that spotlight drew a lot more criticism. And so in so many countries around the world, in India, in Brazil, in the United States, across Southeast Asia, in many, many countries, we see that fact checkers come under attack. Sometimes, they receive really offensive hate mail, personal attacks, personal threats from members of the public who don't agree with their work or who see them as the enemies of the politicians they support. And also in many countries, they're at a risk from their own governments, right? And so in India, for instance, we've seen some fact checkers have been sort of pushed out of the business, and in one case even put in jail due to their work. So fact checkers face a lot of threats in terms of reactions to their work. Another really huge threat is the danger that once all this attention shifts, then there won't be so much support for their work. So right now they receive a lot of support, especially from big technology companies and from big foundations that want to fight disinformation. But we all know how fickle those interests can be, and as soon as the attention shifts, then maybe companies like Meta and like Google won't want to invest so much money in supporting institutions like fact checkers, and also charitable foundations will direct their energies elsewhere. So it's a real challenge to develop sustainable funding models.